The sirens were already screaming when Commander Aiden Cross opened his eyes. Red lights flashed like angry eyes all around him. The oxygen alarms were howling. Thin dust floated through the air like smoke. His head hurt. His heart raced. He pushed himself up from the floor of the Mars colony dome. The glass above him was cracked like a spider web. Outside the window, the red sand didn't just blow in the wind, it moved like it was breathing on the control screen. A message pulsed in bright red. "We were not the first." Aiden froze. He didn't remember typing it. He didn't remember anyone else being awake. Outside, a low rumble shook the dome. It wasn't the storm. It was something deeper. Aiden stumbled toward the control panel. His hands were shaking. Oxygen levels were falling fast. Power was at 18%. Communications offline. Echo team. "Come in," he whispered into the mic. No answer, only silence. He switched channels. "This is Commander Aiden Cross, Mars Colony E-37, if anyone can hear me." Static, then a whisper. A whisper that spoke his name. "Aiden." He ripped off the headset, breathing hard. That voice was not from Earth. It sounded like it came from inside the walls. The corridors were dark. Emergency lights flickered weakly. Long streaks of red sand had blown in through the airlock. That wasn't possible. The storm outside hadn't even started when he lost consciousness. He reached the crew quarters. Every bunk was empty. Blankets were still warm. Half-eaten food lay on trays like they had all just disappeared. He picked up Lieutenant Vega's helmet from the floor. The visor was cracked from the inside out. Something had hit it. From within, his pulse grew faster. He returned to the control room and turned on the external cameras. 6 of the 7 were dead, but camera 07 was still alive. Aiden leaned closer. The red dunes outside the colony were moving. Not blowing in the wind, rising and falling slowly, like a giant creature breathing beneath the surface. The sand lifted, fell, lifted again. He zoomed in. No tracks, no machines. No crew, only the ground. Alive. He checked the colony's black box log. The final entry had been recorded only 2 hours ago. It contained 2 words, "I tease awake." Aiden stared at the screen. Outside, the rumble grew louder. His training told him to stay inside. But something else, the same strange pull he felt when he saw the moving sand, told him to go out there. He opened the storage locker and pulled out his pressure suit. His hands were still shaking as he zipped it up, helmet on. Oxygen connected. Lights on. The storm outside was building. But he didn't care. He needed answers. He stepped into the airlock. The outer door opened with a long, dry hiss. Red dust swept across his visor. The landscape stretched out endlessly, silent and cold. But something was different. There were patterns in the sand. Curved lines, spirals. Like someone or something had drawn them during the night. Aiden took a careful step forward. His boots sank slightly into the soft sand. He could feel a faint vibration through the solace. A pulse, a heartbeat. From below, the colony loomed behind him, its broken glass reflecting weak sunlight. Ahead of him, nothing but red dunes. And something moving underneath. The whisper returned. This time not through the radio. "Aiden." The voice was inside his helmet, no static. No signal. Just a whisper right next to his ear. He spun around. "No one there. Who's there?" He shouted. Silence. The sand shifted 20 meters ahead, slowly, smoothly, like a giant snake moving beneath the surface. He aimed his helmet light at the spot. The sand bulged up, and then flattened again. His heart pounded against his ribs. He started walking toward it. As he moved farther from the dome, his radio picked up faint fragments of chatter. Voices overlapping, laughing, crying, all at once. He checked the comm screen. No active signal. He recognized one of the voices. Vega. She had died on Mars 6 months ago. The whispers grew louder. They weren't warning him. They were calling him. Aiden gritted his teeth and kept walking. He reached the place where the sand had risen. The ground here was soft and warm. Too warm. He knelt and touched the surface. For a second, it pulsed beneath his hand. Like skin. Then it stopped. Aiden pulled back his hand quickly, stumbling in the sand. Then a shape appeared beneath the surface. A long curved structure, metal, or bone? It was hard to tell. The sand began to slide away from it, slowly revealing a buried door. Not part of the human colony. Not something they built. The door's surface was black, smooth, and cold. Symbols glowed faintly on it, like they were written in fire. Beneath glass, Aiden's breath fogged the inside of his helmet. The whispers fell silent. And then, with a low click, the door opened by itself. The storm roared behind him. The colony lights flickered in the distance. But Aiden didn't turn back. He took one step forward. Then another. Into the dark below, a final whisper brushed his ear as he crossed the threshold. "We've been waiting." The black door opened without a sound. Aiden froze. Cold air poured from the gap like a breath from a deep grave. His visor fogged slightly, and the helmet sensors flickered. There was oxygen inside, but it wasn't the colony's. He aimed his suit light into the hole. A narrow passage went down into the ground. The walls weren't metal. They were smooth like glass and curved, almost as if grown. Not built. The whispers returned, soft, layered, like a crowd breathing. They weren't words anymore. Just sound, just presence. He tightened his grip on the scanner and stepped inside. The walls pulsed faintly red as he moved deeper. Dust floated upward, not downward, like gravity here had its own rules. His boots echoed softly on the smooth floor. After a few meters, his suit crackled. A voice came through, faint and broken. Then, Aiden, help. He stopped. That was Viga's voice. He had buried Viga 6 months ago. The signal cut off. The tunnel grew darker. The floor opened into a large underground hall. It wasn't empty. Rows of human objects, broken helmets, cracked screens, half-buried tools, were scattered like someone had tried to build something down here and failed. In the center of the hall, a metal sign lay half-buried in red dust. He brushed it off with his glove. It read Colony E37 Forward OUTPOST. His stomach turned cold. This was their colony. But the design was older, decades older. Aiden whispered, "This is impossible." He walked deeper. The underground lights flickered to life, not from his touch, but like the tunnels had sensed him. Symbols glowed faintly along the walls. Some looked almost human, others didn't. His heart raced as he turned a corner and found the bunks, empty beds, warm blankets. A half-eaten meal still steaming. A chair knocked over. It looked like everyone had been here seconds ago, and then vanished. His scanner beeped sharply. It detected biological signatures. Faint, moving. But none were human. A low hum filled the hallway. Lights dimmed. Aiden froze as a shadow moved behind the bunks. He swung his helmet light. Nothing there. Another whisper brushed against the inside of his helmet. "We're still here." His breathing grew sharp and uneven. "Where are you?" he shouted. No reply. Only the sound of his own pulse. He moved toward the operations room, the place where the colony's black box would have been stored. The door slid open before he could touch it. Inside, the screens were on running systems that hadn't been online since the storm hit. One monitor showed the Mars surface. Another showed maps of the tunnels below. And one screen, the largest one, showed a live feed. The missing crew stood inside a red chamber somewhere underground. Their eyes were open, but they didn't blink. They didn't move. They were alive. But wrong. Their skin was pale, almost transparent. Silver veins glowed beneath their flesh, pulsing in sync. Their faces were calm. Too calm. Aiden whispered their names: Viga, Chung, Ramirez. No response. The screen zoomed in by itself. The crew turned their heads at the same time. Their eyes looked directly into the camera. The feed cut to black. Aiden stumbled back, heart hammering. This wasn't a rescue. This was something else. Something older than them. He checked his map. According to the logs, that chamber was under Sector 9, about 800 meters east of where he stood. He turned back toward the hallway and stopped. The lights were out. In the dark. Something was moving, slow, heavy, wet. He backed away slowly. But the exit door behind him slammed shut, sealing him in. The hum in the walls grew louder. The air grew warmer. A shape appeared at the far end of the hallway. Tall, thin, moving like smoke inside flesh. The scanner went wild. No match found. The shape took one step closer, then another. The lights flickered. For a split second, its face became clear. It wasn't human, but it wore a human suit. Viga's suit. Aiden turned and ran down the tunnel. Breathing hard. Behind him, the whispering turned into one single word repeated again and again. Stay. 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 The tunnel seemed to shift around him, stretching, narrowing. The air was hot now, like standing near a beating heart. He reached the next chamber and slammed the emergency door. The shape stopped at the glass. It tilted its head. It didn't need to break through. It only whispered, "You can't leave." Aiden pressed his helmet against the cold door. His breath fogged the visor. For the first time, he realized the colony hadn't died. It had been taken, and now it wanted him too. The hum in the walls had changed. It was no longer a sound. It felt like a heartbeat inside the metal itself. Aiden stood in the dark tunnel, his back pressed against the cold door. The shape wearing Viga's suit was still on the other side, its head tilting from side to side like it was listening to something only it could hear. Then it stopped moving. It turned slowly, like it had lost interest in him, and faded into the darkness without a sound. Aiden didn't move for several seconds. His breath fogged his visor. His pulse echoed in his ears, then his suit scanner came alive. A signal, weak, but real. The signal wasn't from Earth. It was coming from deeper, underground. He pulled up the map on his wrist display. Sector 9, the same location from the black box feed, the place where the crew had been standing like statues. All right, he whispered to himself. Let's find out what's really down there. He unlocked the emergency door and stepped back into the tunnel. The walls felt different now, warmer, like skin under a thin layer of metal. The floor wasn't flat anymore. It was pulsing. The tunnel stretched on like a throat leading to the center of something alive. His helmet light flickered as if something was interfering with the signal. At every step, faint whispers followed him. Not loud, not screaming. Just close enough to make his heart pound. Aiden, come closer. He didn't reply. He focused on the signal on his wrist, a repeating pulse. 3 beats, pause, 3 beats, pause. Like a code. He reached a fork in the tunnel. The left path was quiet. The right path was glowing faint red like blood under glass. The signal pointed right. He followed it. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. And in the center of that chamber stood something no human had ever built. A tower, made of black stone and pulsing light. Its shape was simple but wrong, like geometry that shouldn't exist. Every angle looked both straight and curved at the same time. Thin silver threads grew out from the tower, spreading through the ground like roots. Some of them were moving, slowly, like breathing. Aiden's scanner beeped wildly. Unidentified structure. Unknown material. Power source active. He stepped closer. The air temperature dropped. His visor began to fog. His chest felt heavier. The whispers stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the tower spoke. Not with a voice. Not with words. It spoke inside his head. Welcome back? Aiden fell backward, clutching his helmet. The sound wasn't sound, it was memory. Like someone pushing images into his mind. He saw Mars, but not like the Mars he knew. It was green, alive, a civilization built beneath the surface long before humans ever arrived. And then something sleeping, waiting. He shook his head, forcing the visions out. This isn't real, he whispered, but the tower pulsed again. The silver threads rose like hands, reaching toward him. He stumbled back, and his boot hit something, a helmet. Lieutenant Sheen's helmet. The glass was broken, but something was still moving inside it. Tiny silver threads, wriggling like worms in slow motion. The black box recorder on the helmet was still blinking. He picked it up, hand trembling. Pressed play. This is Chun. If anyone hears this, don't go below. It's not human. Static. Then a final whisper, a woman's voice. We let it in. Aiden's chest tightened. He turned toward the tunnel, ready to retreat. But the way back was gone, the tunnel had closed. The walls had shifted, like the place itself was alive, and didn't want him to leave. The tower pulsed again, stronger. The light was crawling along the floor now, moving toward him like water. And then his radio came to life. "Aiden, can you hear me?" He froze. That voice was his own. It was calm, older, stronger. "Come to the heart. It's waiting." The floor cracked beneath his boots. Red mist filled the air. The tower opened at the base like a mouth. He didn't want to move closer. But the signal, his own voice, was pulling him in like gravity. The whispers changed. They no longer sounded like strangers. They sounded like his crew. "Commander, join us." He stepped closer without realizing it. His hands shook. His breath came fast. But his legs didn't stop. The tower light reflected on his visor. It looked like an eye. He was a few meters away when his helmet camera flickered on its own. On the display, he saw himself standing in front of the tower, but there was no tower behind him. The image was from another time. Another Aiden, older, eyes hollow. Already taken, the tower let out a long, low hum, not mechanical, alive. He stopped. "This isn't me," he whispered. "This isn't real." The hum grew louder. The silver threads wrapped around his boots like vines, and then, from somewhere deep inside the structure, a voice whispered with perfect clarity. "It will be." The chamber lights went out. The tower's glow turned blood-red, and Aiden was no longer alone. The red glow from the tower was no longer just light. It moved like liquid fire crawling across the walls. Aiden stood frozen as the silver threads coiled around his boots. They weren't pulling him hard. They were feeling him. Like fingers learning the shape of his body, his breathing echoed inside the helmet. His heartbeat sounded too loud. The entire chamber pulsed like a lung. He reached for the laser cutter on his belt, but before his fingers could touch it, the threads let go. Not because they were weak, because they didn't need to hold him anymore. The tower opened. Like a door. More like a wound splitting down the middle. A deep red light spilled out, filling the chamber with a warm, unnatural glow. From inside came a faint sound. Not a growl. Not a scream. A whisper, but layered with thousands of voices at once. "You came back?" Aiden's helmet audio picked it up, but there was no source. It came from everywhere. The walls, the floor, the air. His own bones. He took a step back, but the floor behind him shifted like wet sand. There was no escape now. The chamber had become a trap. The black stone of the tower melted into a shape. Slowly, steadily, something began to form inside it. A figure stepped forward. Tall, thin, made entirely of flowing silver threads. Its face was smooth like glass, but its shape kept changing, shifting between human and something else. The closer it came, the more the air around Aiden felt heavy, like gravity itself had turned against him. The figure stopped only a few meters away. Its head tilted, just like the shadow wearing Viga's suit had done. "You are not the first," it said, using Viga's voice. "But you are the last." Aiden gritted his teeth. "What are you?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, it stepped closer, and the world around him changed. The chamber faded away. He was standing in the colony dome. But it wasn't broken. It was whole, bright. The crew was there, laughing, working, living. Viga waved at him from the control room. Chun was fixing the rovers. Ramirez was making coffee. It was perfect. Too perfect. "This is the future you wanted," the entity whispered in his mind. "A place where you can stay forever." Aiden closed his eyes. "This isn't real." The illusion cracked. Viga's smile twisted. Her eyes turned silver. One by one, the crew stopped moving and stared at him with blank faces. "Join us," they said in one voice. "The surface is dead. Only the root remains." The illusion shattered. Aiden was back in the underground chamber. The entity was standing inches away now. Its face shifted again, and this time, it became his own face, older, tired, with silver veins glowing under the skin. Aiden's stomach dropped. It was showing him what he would become. "You are already part of us," it said with his voice. "We have been growing here long before your kind came." The floor began to move. The red veins in the ground were pumping faster, like blood rushing through arteries. The walls whispered names, every name of the colony crew. Aiden raised his cutter. "I'm not part of you." The entity smiled with his face. "You already are." Silver threads shot out from the floor. This time they were fast, wrapping around his arms and legs. Not squeezing, pulling, he struggled, but it was like fighting fog. The threads weren't just around him, they were inside the suit, inside the cum. Inside the sound of his own heartbeat, his visor flashed warnings. Suit breach detected, the entity lifted its hand, and the entire chamber began to tilt. The tower opened wider, revealing a massive pit beneath it, a red abyss glowing like the inside of a living heart. Aiden was dragged toward it, inches at a time. His boots scraped against the floor. The sound was drowned out by the whispers. "It is time." He slammed his fist against the side of his helmet. "No, not yet." And then the whispers stopped. The silver threads froze. Everything became silent. From somewhere above, through the colony's broken radio network, a single sound cut through the still air. A human voice. Weak, but real. "Aiden, don't let it in." It was Viga's real voice. Recorded before she vanished, the entity's head snapped upward like an animal hearing prey. The tower pulsed, angry this time. Aiden used the moment to twist free from the loosened threads. He fell hard on the floor, gasping. The entity let out a sound that didn't belong on Mars, a low, rising chorus of thousands of voices screaming through one mouth. "You cannot leave." The tunnel behind Aiden cracked open like a wound. He didn't think. He ran, his legs felt like lead. His chest burned. The whispers chased him down the corridor like a living storm. Behind him, the entity's form stretched, like liquid metal sliding over the floor. It didn't walk. It glided. He dove through the nearest maintenance hatch and slammed the door. For a second, silence. Then a whisper against the steel. "We'll see you soon." Aiden pressed his back against the cold hatch. His breath fogged the glass. His suit beeped from the breach. The entity wasn't just under the colony. It was the colony, and it wanted him next. The tunnel was silent, but it didn't feel empty. The silence here was alive, heavy, like it was pressing against Aiden's chest. His breath echoed inside his cracked helmet. He could still hear the faint whispering behind the door he had just slammed shut. But now, something else was calling him. The signal on his wrist was no longer weak. It was steady, loud, and it was coming from below. Aiden followed the narrow corridor deeper into the Martian ground. The air was growing warmer. Thin veins of glowing red light ran across the walls like blood under skin. The deeper he went, the more the colony above felt like a dream he was leaving behind. The tunnel ended at a spiral shaft. A metallic ladder descended into complete darkness. No sound. No wind. Just the heartbeat, thump, thump, thump. Thump vibrating through the steel. Aiden climbed down slowly. Each step echoed like a drumbeat. After what felt like forever, his boots touched the floor. He turned his helmet light on. The beam vanished into red mist. The chamber around him was massive. This was not a room. It was a cavern, the size of a city block, carved into the bones of Mars itself. In the center floated a giant red sphere, suspended in midair by glowing silver threads like veins holding a heart. It pulsed with a slow rhythm, a living, breathing core. Every time it beat, the floor beneath his feet shuddered. The whispers were no longer whispers. They were everywhere. "You are here." At last, the sphere pulsed faster as Aiden stepped closer. The silver veins trembled like they were excited. Bodies floated around the sphere. Human bodies. The missing crew. Viga, Chun, Ramirez, all of them. Their eyes were open. Their mouths were closed. Their veins glowed the same silver as the threads, pulsing with the same rhythm as the core. They weren't dead. They weren't alive either. They were part of it. Aiden's chest grew tight. "No," he whispered. The core answered. "They are home." The bodies turned toward him at the same time, like leaves turning to the sun. Their movements were too smooth, too silent. Their feet didn't touch the ground, they drifted closer. Moving as one, Aiden stumbled back, his boot hitting the edge of an old metal platform. The platform was human. His team had once built it, but the core had swallowed everything else. His cum crackled. "Commander Cross, come home." It was Viga's voice, but not the way she used to sound. This voice was soft, empty, like someone had pulled the soul out and left the echo behind. He stared at her face. Her silver-lit eyes didn't blink. "Join us," she said. The core pulsed harder, brighter. Aiden's chest vibrated with the beat. His helmet display flickered. Pressure spike. Oxygen unstable. The red mist was getting inside. His mind started to fill with flashes that weren't his own. Images of Mars long ago. A world alive with cities buried beneath its red skin. Creatures of silver light, not human, not flesh. A war, a silence. A sleep that lasted thousands of years. "We waited," the core whispered, using every voice at once. "And you came." Aiden gritted his teeth, fighting the images. "I didn't come for you." "No," the core said, "but you stayed." The crew's bodice surrounded him now. Viga reached out her hand. Her skin shimmered like glass. "It doesn't hurt," she whispered. "We are one." Aiden stepped back. "You're not Viga." "I am what remains," she said. "And soon, you." He reached for the emergency charge on his belt, a small fusion detonator. Not meant for war, but enough to burn a hole in a dome. Maybe enough to damage the core, but before he could arm it, the silver threads shot from the floor. Wrapping around his arms, he struggled, shouting into the helmet. "Get off me!" The core pulsed like a heartbeat directly inside his skull. "You cannot destroy what you are becoming." Aiden screamed and pulled hard. His hand slipped inside the pocket where the detonator was. He gripped it tight. The core was now roaring without sound, the kind of noise that lives inside your bones. The floating bodies tilted their heads at the same time. "One of us." The silver threads began to crawl under his suit, cold as knives. His skin burned where they touched. His vision blurred. His heart pounded out of rhythm. "Join the root," the core whispered. "Leave the surface. Live forever." Aiden forced his shaking hand toward the detonator switch. He whispered back, "Not today." Before he could press it, the core changed. Its color shifted from red to white, bright and blinding. The entire chamber shook like Mars itself was waking up. The crew stopped moving. The threads went still, and then slowly the core opened like an eye inside the light. He saw himself, older, pale, silver veins glowing, smiling. "You already did," the entity said. The light from the core swallowed everything. There was no tunnel, no stone, no sound. Aiden felt weightless. When he opened his eyes, the red cavern was gone. He was standing on the surface of Mars again. But it wasn't the same Mars. The sky above was not black, it was blue. Soft wind brushed his face. The colony dome stood tall and shining, untouched by storms or time. The rovers were lined up in perfect order. Flowers bloomed in the dust like they had always belonged here and his crew. They were alive. They stood in the sunlight, smiling like nothing had ever happened. Viga ran toward him, waving like she used to. "Commander," she laughed. "You're late for morning checks." Her voice was warm, familiar, real. For a moment, he almost believed it, but his hand was still gripping the detonator. And beneath his glove, he could feel it shaking. This wasn't real. "No," Aiden whispered. "This isn't real." The sky shimmered like glass touched by wind. The crew didn't react. They just kept smiling. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," Viga said softly. "The storms are gone. The air is warm. Earth will never come. But we can live. Here." Chun patted his shoulder. "We're home." Aiden stepped back slowly. "You're not them." Viga tilted her head, the smile never fading. "Why fight what you already are?" The perfect Mars cracked like ice. For a heartbeat, the real world bled through. Red tunnels, silver threads, the core's eye watching from the dark. Then it sealed again, soft and warm like a lie wrapping around his mind. The entity was inside his head now. Not speaking, showing it offered him the world he always wanted, without fear, without loss, without end, but it came with a price. The core's voice slid gently through the air, calm and smooth. Your world is dying above. Your kind left you here. We never will. Aiden stared at Viga's face. It was perfect. Too perfect. Not a single scar, not a single shadow. We can make you whole, the entity whispered. All we ask is everything. He understood then. This wasn't just survival. This was assimilation. This was surrender. The detonator in his hand pulsed softly, just like his heartbeat. One push and he could burn the core, but maybe he'd burn with it. Maybe the whole colony would vanish, but if he gave in, this soft, fake Mars would last forever. No more pain, no more storms, no more dying alone. Viga stepped closer. Her eyes were silver now, glowing like two small moons. Let go, she whispered. Be free. Aiden lifted his helmet visor and reached out. For a second, he touched her hand. It was warm, human, it felt real. Too real. The wind carried her laugh. His crew gathered around him, smiling, waiting. His mind whispered, stay. His heart whispered, run. Then something cut through the warm silence, a distant radio signal. Weak but human. This is Earth Command. Colony E37. If anyone can hear this, we're coming. The blue sky cracked. The warm sunlight bled into red. Viga's smile froze. The crew's eyes flickered. The world began to glitch like a broken screen. The entity's voice grew sharper. They left you. We found you. The core appeared in the sky like a second sun, glowing red and alive. The fake Mars trembled as its control slipped. Aiden gripped the detonator tighter. He could hear both worlds pulling at him. The entity offered eternity. Earth offered a broken hope. One would consume him. The other might kill him. There was no safe choice. Viga screamed now, not in pain but in anger. We gave you peace. The crew's faces twisted, their silver eyes melting into the red of the core. The warm air turned heavy. The world began to collapse inward like a dying star. The entity's true voice filled his skull, thousands of whispers blending into one sharp cry. Choose? Aiden raised the detonator. His breathing was loud, steady. He looked one last time at Viga, at the world he could have had. I already did, he whispered. He pressed the trigger. The sky shattered. The world cracked open like broken glass. The red light of the core rushed in like fire through paper. The crew's faces twisted, stretching, burning into silver shadows. The perfect Mars dissolved, and Aiden fell through the collapsing world into a storm of blood-red light. The world was burning red. Aiden fell through the collapsing illusion like a man dropped into a storm. Shards of light spun around him, pieces of the fake Mars shattering into nothing. The wind roared without air. The ground was gone. The sky was gone. Only the core remained. It hovered in the center of the collapsing chamber, glowing brighter than a sun. Silver threads whipped wildly in the air like angry veins. The entity screamed, not in one voice but in thousands. The sound rattled his bones. You cannot end what was here before you. The detonator was still in his hand, its blinking light steady. Aiden's body ached. Blood floated inside his cracked helmet. But his mind was clear now. The lies were gone. He landed hard on the metal platform beneath the core. Sparks jumped from the floor. The whole cavern was shaking like Mars itself was alive and furious. The crew's bodies, Viga, Chun, Ramirez, floated around the core like silver ghosts, their eyes blazing. They weren't speaking anymore. They were part of it. They were the entity. Aiden staggered to his feet. You made a mistake, he said softly. You gave me a choice. The core pulsed, its glow turning from red to blinding white. You will become us. No, he whispered. You will remember me. He pressed the detonator, a heartbeat of silence. Then everything exploded. A surge of white light tore through the chamber like a star being born underground. The entity screamed, a sharp, endless sound that filled every frequency. Silver threads snapped like broken wires. The ground ripped open. Aiden was thrown backward into a wall of light. His suit alarms screamed, but he didn't hear them anymore. The core was splitting apart, light pouring through the cracks like rivers of fire. "We were here first," the entity whispered weakly. "And we will wait again." The last thing Aiden saw was Viga's silver face fading into the blaze. The blast tore through the tunnels. Above the surface, the colony dome flashed once, like a dying star, and then fell silent. Red dust rose high into the thin Martian air, and then nothing, no lights, no movement. Just silence. Hours passed. Maybe days. Somewhere deep under the ruins, a faint beeping echoed. The emergency beacon on Aiden's suit had survived. A cracked helmet lay half buried in red dust. His hand was still clutching the detonator. Now burned black. The beacon sent a single repeating message. Commander Aiden Cross, Colony E-37. Last survivor. Weeks later, a distant relay satellite picked up the signal. Earth Command listened in silence. The message wasn't long. It wasn't clear, but they heard his voice one last time. "We were not the first, and we won't be the last." Far below the Martian surface, where the core had been, the red sand shifted. A faint glow pulsed once, then twice. The entity wasn't dead. It was waiting, somewhere above. The beacon kept calling into the dark. And far away on Earth, someone answered, "This is Earth Command. We're coming." The stars above Mars were silent witnesses. The planet lay still. But beneath its surface, the heartbeat returned, slow, patient, thump, thump, thump.